Hi everybody, this video is going to show you how to take through Design Space this new SVG to cut a lovely Santa themed gable top gift bag. It's quite a big bag. I've got the dimensions on one of the pictures I think somewhere. Yeah, if you make it at the size it comes into Design Space, it can be cut entirely from A4 or letter with a bit of careful positioning of your card on the mat, and it ends up 18 centimetres or about 7 inches wide, 8 centimetres or just over 3 inches deep, and 19 centimetres or about 7.5 inches tall. So it's really quite a roomy gift bag. And the nice thing about it being made from all separate pieces is you can make it much bigger if you use A3 or tabloid and your long mat. So you can end up with a really huge gift bag if you'd got a big gift to give somebody. And it's lovely and strong as well. I really like these gable top bags because they're a lovely easy way to close a bag, and then they're a good way to carry it and retain the strength. I really like them. So this particular project, you've got two options for the front trim. If I can just find the one that compares them. Yeah, you can stick this central band down the front to sort of look like the front of his jacket, and then you can use slightly smaller gold buttons to match the buckle, or you can do away with that trim completely and just have larger white buttons and the belt if you want a slightly simpler looking bag. The bag can be made with this white trim on all four faces, or you can make it with just a decorated front and a red sides and the back, and you also get pieces in the SVG which enable you to make a completely plain bag, so you can use it any time of year. It doesn't have to be a Christmas themed one. It can just be a completely plain bag that you cut from some beautiful card and embellish it any way you like. So let's look at Design Space, let's bring it in and see where we go. Because you've got that versatility with the design, it's a quite a big SVG. You get lots of pieces in it, but I'll show you what to do with them and you'll see that it's actually really not difficult. Okay, the first job we've got, as always, with any multi-part SVG file that's got score lines, is the first thing we have to do is convert the lines that come in as cuts, which we actually want to be scores. We can't make them come in as scores anymore. So if a multi-part SVG file has been saved properly, it should come into Design Space in an overall group like that, and then within it there'll be two subgroups. The first one will have all those lines that need converting to scores, so they're nice and easy to do in one group, and your second group will have every cut and every cut within the cut pieces. So the first thing we do is we select that first subgroup, go to our operations menu, click on basic cut and go down to score. You only need to click on the name of it. It will select everything in the group, and the name, as always with my SVGs all the time, it's that second line down in your layers panel. So now we've converted them, you can see that they've been converted to scores. We've got to ungroup them so that we can attach them individually later on. I'm on the desktop version for PC, and for me ungroup is here at the top of the layers panel. So while those scores are still selected, just click ungroup and you can see that that group now disappears. They're not in a group anymore. So scroll further down, find that second group that's got all the cuts and ungroup those, and again that group disappears, but we've still got this overall group. So now we're just going to click on that, which selects everything on screen, or you can just drag a box to enclose everything, or you can use the select all button, however you want to do it. Do a third ungroup. So now everything on screen is a separate piece, and we can attach the scores to the individual pieces that they relate to. Got to do it that way. If you select everything and attach it, you'll end up with a message from Design Space telling you that your project is incompatible and you can't cut it. I think the simplest way to select a single piece and its scores is to just click on canvas somewhere near it, drag a box to enclose it, and for me attaches at the bottom of the layers panel. So you need to do that for each piece on screen that's got scores. These here are the snowy tops of the side walls if you're going to make decorated side walls and not plain red ones. And if you're doing that, these are the sections of wall that you use with those. You can see that they'd go together like that eventually when they're stuck together. This is the snowy top for the bag front or back. You get two of those. This is the thing that goes down the front of the jacket if you're using it. No scores there, obviously. This is the bag front, and this piece underneath folds under to make the bag base. This is the bag back. I don't know whether to call it a bag or a box, and I keep changing my mind, but when I say bag, I mean box, and when I say box, I mean bag. And this is the buckle and the gold buttons if you're using that, and these are the slightly larger white buttons. No scores there, obviously. If I just zoom into these dark grey sections, you will probably cut them in black. I don't make them black on the SVG, because if I did, you wouldn't be able to see these score lines, and you might forget to attach them. So that's why they're grey. Similarly, let's just attach those. Similarly, these bits here that are light grey, obviously you'll cut those in white. It's just that I make them greys just so it's a little bit easier to see when you're on your canvas and design space. Right. So if I move all those just away a little bit, because we've attached those now, haven't we, I think? Yeah. These pieces here over on the left-hand side are what you will use either if you want to make a bag with just a Santa front and then solid red sides and a solid back, or if you want to make just a completely plain gable-topped gift bag, you would use these pieces. For now, because I've just attached the scores, for now I'm just going to delete those because we're not doing with them at the moment. I'm going to show you how to cut as if you were making, let's have a look at some pictures, this bag here, the one on the left. I can probably find it on its own. Not that one. This one. So it's got the central thing down the front, gold buttons, gold buckle, and all the sides are snowy white. So let's just go back. So I've got my snowy top, which goes on the bag back there, that one that goes on the front, the bit that goes down the back it, the snowy tops for the side walls, the shorter side walls, all the belt pieces, and I don't need the white buttons for now because I'm using the smaller gold buttons. Okay, so we'll click make it, and I just want to show you that you can choose A4 for everything. That's the nice thing about this bag. Everything will cut from A4. Obviously some of these bits you'll just cut them from scraps, won't you? But you can, if you want to, make this whole bag from A4. And the great thing about that is, if you wanted to make it much, much bigger, if you have a really big present to give somebody and you want to use this gift bag, then you can use A3 and make these pieces a lot bigger. Use A3 in the long mat and end up with a really huge bag. And if you use something like 350 gram, it'll still be a lovely strong bag. And I think the gable top helped to make the bags even more rigid. So it will fit on A4. I actually cut mine though from A3. So if you use A3, you'll get all your white on one sheet. We'll leave those as A4, the belt and the gold, because you will just cut those from scraps, won't you? But if you choose A3 for the red pieces, you'll need 2 sheets of A3 for that. And if you're in the US and using tabloid, you can also fit all those pieces on tabloid. And of course you could use 12 by 12. I don't need to show it all. You'll work it out yourself when you come to do it. But really just to show you that it's an economical cut from A3 or tabloid, but you can fit it all on A4. Now we're just gonna, so you can choose letter. Look, you can choose letter for the white bits and you'd need 2 sheets. Obviously we know those will fit on letter, but when you come to do the red, it tells you that you can't fit it on letter. So we're just going to go back to canvas and look at why. And the only piece that won't fit on letter is this one. But it actually will, because letter is 279 long and this piece is 270 and a tiny, tiny bit longer. So it will fit on letter. So what I would do there to make sure that goes on a mat on its own, I would just change the colour of it, doesn't matter what colour we make it, and then I'll hit make it again. I'll find that purple bit. I would choose the standard mat and 12 by 12, but I would place my letter card on the mat, maybe just 1/8 of an inch down away from that very first white line on your cutting mat, and then you'll have a little bit more room to play with, and then you can cut the whole thing on letter as we showed before. Right. So that is if you're, I'll just undo that, that's if you're making this whole bag with the snowy white tops all around and as much decoration as possible, the full decoration. If we weren't using, I just need to, yeah, so let's now say that we're going to make the other version, which is, let me find a picture, this one. So it's just slightly plainer, but still really evocative of Santa, just a little bit less in your face, I suppose. So for that one, we need the white buttons. We still need all the belt, and we don't need that central thing there. So I don't think it'll make a huge difference. Again, obviously we can choose A4. Yeah, you still need 2 sheets. You're going to need a scrap for the belt, an even tinier scrap for the buckle. And these we can still choose A4. But yeah, still need 4 sheets of red as well, because it doesn't really make any difference. It's just the decoration on the front that's different, and all the stuff we said about letter before applies. So I'm just going to bring everything back in that I deleted off. And now we're going to talk about these pieces. So these pieces, first of all, we'll talk about if you wanted to make the Santa bag, but with a plain back. So we're going to get rid of that shorter back section and a snowy top. You're going to need that for your back. You'd need these 2 pieces for your front. Let's say we're going to make it as decorated as possible, so we don't need the white buttons. I'm going to say that I also want to use red sides, so I'm going to get rid of the short sides and those snowy tops. But obviously we would need 2 red sides, so we just duplicate that, so we've got 2 of them. This is slightly different, so now because you've chosen that back, because I wanted to keep this so you could cut it on A4, you need a separate base. So there's your front, there's your back. Yeah, and I've just realised I'm going to have to change that so it's got a glue flap to stick on the front, because or would I? Ah, no, in this case you actually wouldn't need that one because this folds under and that would stick to it. Yeah, so if you're still making a Santa bag, you don't need that base either. So we've got our snowy top. Just bring that to the front. We've got our plain back, we've got our plain sides, the belt and the buckle is the same, and we're going to use this as well. Okay, so let's see what happens now, how that changes. So there you'd get all your white trim off 1A4. We know that the belt and the buckle bits would go on 1A4. Let's see what we can pick now. Yeah. So we've got that similar thing where this will fit on a sheet of A4, but Design Space says it won't because it wants the big margins around it. So I'm just going to make it a different colour and we'll send that through again. So again, piece of A4 for the white. We know that the black and the yellow will fit. Let's see if we can choose A4 now for these. Yep, we can. So we get the box front and we only get 1 wall on an A4. That's because they're pretty wide. Yeah, so you can fit it on. Now this one is the one where it says it won't fit. So we're going to choose 12 by 12. And again, like I said before, when you put your sheet of A4 on, just drop it down a couple of millimetres away from that top edge. It does mean, of course, that this won't cut on letter because it's too long, but it will cut on 12 by 12. So you could make your plain back from a sheet of 12 by 12 in whatever colour you were using. Okay, so that is a Santa bag made with a Santa front and plain back and sides. I'm going to go back again and change those things, bring everything back on. There. So now I want to talk about how you would just use this SVG to make a completely plain gift bag. And what you would do is you'd delete everything to do with Santa. So you'd end up with your plain piece there, your 2 plain side walls. So that's your back, but it's also going to be your front in this instance. So we're just going to duplicate it. For me, duplicate is at the top of the layers panel. I tend to do Control D on my keyboard. So you've got your front, your back, your 2 side walls, And now we've got this base, and this base doesn't need glue tabs because you've got your glue tabs on your back and your front and on your two side walls, and your instructions so show how to put that on as well, but you could probably work it out from the instructions you get from the other bag anyway. But so again, we'd have to choose 12 by 12, and we'd need 3 sheets to make a completely plain gift bag. The bit I said before about A4 still applies, but this is quite a nice economical cut from 12 by 12. You get a wall and a front or a back on one sheet, and then the base goes onto another. But of course, because the base wouldn't show, you could actually cut that from anything. If you just got a scrap of letter or A4 around, you could use that because it's not going to show once you've made your bag. Okay, so that's that. Quite a lot to show you there because this SVG can do quite a lot. I think when you download it and you get your PDF of instructions, it will be a lot clearer. So have a look at this video again maybe after you've looked at your instructions, and I think it'll all come together. It's a lovely, easy project to assemble once you've got it cut. I don't think it's difficult to cut. It's just deciding which pieces you're going to use, isn't it? If you have any issues when you come to cut it or assemble it, please don't hesitate to get in touch. The links to do that via Etsy or Facebook are in the description below, and you can do whichever you prefer. And if you just stumbled across this video and you'd like to purchase the SVG, the link to do that is also in the description below. Thanks a lot. Bye.